Hey guys, this is going to be your review video for your test tomorrow that's on Illuminate. I'm going to work out one Pythagorean theorem question and then one talking about squares and square roots and kind of a select all that apply of perfect squares. So if you would like, I think the best thing for you to do if you need to pause and get this would be you can do this on blank paper. This is not going to be much. This is just a review. I'm not assigning extra practice. But this is good notes that you can take for tomorrow. And if you would like, you can go work out some extra ones that Mr. Becknell and I have both posted. So when we talked about Pythagorean theorem, we said for criteria, the first thing that we would do would be to assign sides and what's our hypotenuse. And we know our hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. Pull this a little bit closer. Is always across from your right angle. So I'm going to I know that this is my C. I know that this is my A and my B. And so now I can say that since I know that this is A squared plus B squared equals C squared, I can say that 6 squared plus, I don't know what the B is, but I know it's going to be B squared will equal C squared. So now I can work out what these squares would be. And I'm even going to show you what that would look like on my phone calculator because I'm sure you're doing the same thing. I'm simply going to do 6 times itself, which would be 36. I don't know what B squared is. And we should know 10 times itself is 100. So the most common question that I got in emails was, where do I go from here? So this is still your basic solving steps. So I need to get this number to the other side of the equal sign so that I can kind of isolate my variable right here. So I'm going to call this minus 36 on both sides to cancel this out. And then I'd be left with B squared equals, I'm going to again do the same thing you would, 100 minus 36, and I'm going to get 64. So B squared equals 64. So now we talked about in the first couple of videos, Mr. Becknell and I talked about how do we leave our answer. So this is an okay answer, but we want to try to get what B is. So I know that the opposite of squaring is square root. So I'm going to say that B would equal the square root of 64. Well, we can go to our calculator now, and Mr. Becknell showed you how to do this in his video, where we can try to get that square root of 64. And we should know that 8 times itself is 64. So this is a perfect square. And we can say that B would equal 8 feet. So we now have all 3 measurements for that triangle. This is exactly what we're going to do when we did that lesson 2 of squares, square root, and cube roots. We talked about what is the opposite of squaring, and that would be this. So this looks very similar to an exact test question that you'll have. You'll simply have to enter in what's the value of x. Well, there's really only one solving step here because the only thing I need to do is get the square root of this number and see if it's a perfect square. So I can say that x would equal the square root of 289. You can guess and check, of course, but you also have on your phone or any other calculator that you may have, you can enter in your square root button right there, 289. And this is a perfect square. It equals 17. So now I have this answer. If it was a text box, you would simply enter in 17. So this last one right here was very simply, we're going to have you just select the ones that were either a perfect square or not a perfect square. Some of these we hope that you really know off the bat what they are. I know that 9 times 9 is 81. So if I were asking for non-perfect squares, then I know that that would not be one. That is a perfect square. 9 times 9 is 81. This one we happen to just do, and we know that 17 times 17 would be 289. The square root of 15 is small enough that you can guess and check your multiplication facts. You know that 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. So we've passed up where we need to be. 15 is not a perfect square. So if you were searching for perfect squares, that would be one. 224 is a little bit bigger of a problem. If you were unsure, you could possibly guess and check what timetables would be. However, if you wanted to get right to the point, you could enter in, once again, that square root button, 224, and you would see that it is not a perfect square. But you should also be able to see at this point that it's 14.96666 and so on, which is very close to 15. So if I did the square root of a number close to this, or if I did 15 times 15, I could guess that the square root of that number would be very close to 224. And if I did 15 times 15, it's 225. So the square root of 224 is very close to 15 squared, but not exactly. So this 224 is a non-perfect square. And that would be the two I selected. If it would have asked for perfect squares, of course, I would have selected these two. So tomorrow, Mr. Becknell and I's test on Illuminate will post for you, and you will have all day Thursday and all day Friday to submit it, and it will be due Friday at 7 p.m. There are about 11 questions on it, and I suggest I'm going to post the picture of this. This would be a great resource and a great review for you to use while you take your test. This is not giving too much away. I think you will all do amazing, and we hope that you keep up with us. And good luck. Stay healthy.